Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Eislyn's Apocalypse. In the last time round, we was introduced to a new character in the game which we did not see in the first time round. And she is affiliated with both us as humans and the enemy that are the monsters. Sorry. Adarine. It took Adarine a while to calm down and explain herself. How she had started to be able to sense monsters, how she learned they were killing children for her, how she had distanced herself in the hopes of helping them and figuring out what to do. Jared could tell that she felt really guilty about their deaths, but he knew she wasn't at fault. She didn't want that fate for those children. Jared decided he had better head to the orphanage and talk to Miss Nightingale herself. Adarine came with. So, if you're from the Nightingale Orphanage, you lost your parents? No, it's just... Well, my mother went insane shortly after I was born, so I've been staying with my aunt. She's the head of the orphanage. She takes me there with her most days. So, your aunt is Miss Nightingale? Do you really think she's responsible for what's been happening to the other kids? She's responsible for them being adopted by Thorndyke. Yeah, Thorndrake. Jared slightly chided himself for being so blunt, but he had to be honest now. I suspect it, but I'm not sure, of course. Have you noticed anything off about your aunt? I don't think she'd do something like that. She looked sad. Jared decided not to press any further. Well, it's just my opinion. I don't have any evidence that could prove her involvement, so she may well be innocent. Soon they had arrived at the orphanage. This place again. A woman quickly ran up to greet Adarine. Adarine, thank goodness you're alright. Sorry for worrying you. Is my aunt here? She left, actually. Oh, I understand. Thank you. No, I mean, she left. Remember how she said she was going to take a trip? Yes. It was quite sudden. She had been planning to take one soon, but she decided to leave early. I'm really sorry, but could you stay here with us until she comes back? Adarine looked shocked and Jared didn't blame her. Hadn't her aunt been worried about her? How could she have just up and go on vacation while Adarine was missing? Jared guessed she was guilty and had to flee the city. Perhaps that gardener named John had witnessed something that would implicate her, and she wants to leave regardless of how the situation had turned out. Oh, be alright. Yes, I remember her saying she was going to leave. I have somewhere I can stay, thank you. If you're sure, you can always come by, you know. No need to be shy. Right. Thank you. Oh, sorry, sir. Did you want something? No, it's fine. They left the orphanage under the curious stare of that woman. Okie dokie. She looked stressed out. The woman? She always looks that way when somebody dies. He's really gone. Jared didn't know what to say to that. It must have been hard for her, having tragedy happen so often you grew used to the signs. My aunt. I don't think she would. She trailed off and then continued a moment later. Or maybe it's that I don't want to think she would. She has always seemed bitter behind her mask. Bitter about this place. Cynical about people. I don't know why. I don't know anymore. All I know is something terrible is going to happen. You can sense that? No. One of them told me. They want to take over Memora, and they told me they needed me to help them do it. Which means... So you are working with Nortmere. Ah, one of the Guardians. The two of them jumped as someone wearing an unusual outfit approached. He lifted up a strange-looking contraption and an orb of light shot itself into Adarine. What the... Jared Varden, you're under arrest for the murder of children of Memora. But he didn't kill them. She's alive? The man seemed genuinely shocked. Jared looked down at her in concern. I'm fine, it didn't hurt me. We should get out of here. Adrien looked worried but unharmed. Jared breathed a sigh of relief. He stood in front of her and addressed the stranger. Just who do you think you are anyway, attacking a young girl and arresting me? You're obviously not a police officer. I am one of the guardians of Memora, those who were involved in a plot to destroy the city of my enemy. The strange contraption created a blade of light. Neither one of us are trying to destroy the city. We're trying to stop these monsters just like you. He's not going to listen, Jared. The man then charged at Jared, swinging the glowing sword down in a wide arc. Jared quickly pushed Adrien out of the way and dodged. The sword hit the pavement and left a burn mark. Jared cursed. Go! As he shouted at Adrien, shadows began to move around the edges of the street. Masses of tiny things squirmed and seemed to emit physical shadows. They flooded the street and started to create a dome reaching for the zenith of the sky. Jared hesitated. Where could they run to? The tiny monsters were circling the perimeter. They had nowhere to go. Adrien didn't seem to have the same qualms. She grabbed his hand and jumped straight into the shadows. Behind them, Jared could hear cleans and sizzling sounds as the stranger's sword pierced the shadows with light. The darkness felt sticky and solid, yet they could walk through it. After they made their way to the other side, Adrien bent down to talk to one of the small creatures. Thank you. Jared watched her with them and felt disturbed. They looked at her with a grotesque version of love and awe on their twisted faces. They didn't speak, but Adrien seemed to receive an answer from them somehow anyway. They say their barrier won't last long. We need to run before that man breaks through. Yeah, and so they did. Jared glad to leave the monsters behind them. Samara, the first time we've seen her on this particular route. Much later on than her first introduction on the first route. When I went to investigate the Nightingale Orphanage, I ran into the suspected serial killer Jared Varden. He's definitely in league with Nightmare. Monsters helped him and a girl escape. I overheard a girl say that she's the key for the monsters to claim the city. A girl? Is she human? She looks like it. Perhaps that's how Nightmare managed to entrench his army inside the barrier without detection. He's created hybrids. That's not all. The owner of Nightingale Orphanage has gone, presumably on vacation just like Mr. Thorndyke. They both left the city. So they were both involved. There are far more monsters in Memora than we anticipated. It's only a matter of time until the whole city is overrun. We need to take drastic action to prevent annihilation. What are you suggesting? All-out war. Gall. Do you have the gall to fight them? Concerns, however. Gall chambered through the network of tunnels that had been dug beneath Memora. He itched to tunnel further, to go down below, to fight the real fight, and he always did. But right now he had a more immediate, more pressing concern on his mind. And so he made his way into Sidia's base of operations. Oh, hello, Gall. Always good to see you. Hello, sister. We need to talk. Oh, whatever about? Adrien. Ah, that darling girl. She's coming along splendidly. Unless she's hurt. She's not hurt, is she? No. That's a relief. Don't scare me, Gall. Well, don't chum up now. What's your worry? She's made a human friend. And what's wrong with that? She's supposed to be interrogated into their society. Yeah, but this guy's bad news. Remember how that Thorndyke guy gave us one last sacrifice? An adult male. I do recall you mentioning that, yes. That's the guy. The guy she's friends with. Yeah? Wait, what? I thought you said you took care of him. The smile on her face was annoying, Gall. Did she really find this amusing? I sensed another of our kin nearby, so I decided to let them feast. And you didn't check to make sure it wasn't Adrene? She gave a long, hearty laugh then. Goodness gracious, cheated yourself out on a fine meal there. Sorry, yes, again, what's the problem? Do you want to eat him now? You can go right ahead if you want to. What's the problem? He's a bad influence on the girl. Oh, I really don't see how. Honestly, you should trust me a little more. It was my job to oversee her development, and I have faith in her progress. Who cares if she wants to keep an old companion, sorry. Great light inside here. He's absolutely opposed to our rule. Who knows what ideas he's putting into her head. And because of him, she lets slip her role in this, and now the Guardians know. This finally gave her a pause. I see. Well, that is a problem. We can't have him putting her in danger now, can we? Right. Very well. Please take care of him for me, Garl. With pleasure. Oh, not that one. With that, it appeared Garl was dismissed. Insidia closed her eyes and went back to whatever it was she had been doing before he walked in. Once again, Garl felt irked. Insidia? That isn't my only concern. You think I came here to get permission to kill that man? I could have done that without requiring your approval. So, the girl, what if she's been turned against us? She cackled and then smiled at him. Oh my goodness, what have I been saying to you, girl? Leave the girl to me. That dear girl, you haven't seen what I've seen. You've got no idea what she's capable of. What gorgeous atrocities she's orchestrated. As always, talking about Adrene changed Insidia's whole demeanour. Her face was awash with awe and pride. Her mind miles away, thinking about something far off dark future. So, for him to go to the police was definitely the worst outcome, because then Garl would not have intercepted with Adrene, and Adrene would be a forever rogue to be sided with these monsters, but we had no idea that she was the eyes and ears for the Nightmare for this scenario. In a moment, Insidia's face changed to an expression of surprise to curiosity. What happened? What's happened, sorry? I didn't realise they'd be willing to destroy their own city. What are you talking about? Jared again. Something had changed in the city. There were monsters everywhere. People screamed and ran as the monsters crawled up from below ground, flew in from above, raced across rooftops and through alleys. It was complete chaos. This is insane! This is the change she must have been talking about. So many monsters. I knew it. There's nothing the two of us could do. Jared stared at her. We can't stop them. I know how you feel, but what? Even Jared wasn't sure what he was going to say next. The panic had caused people to stampede through the streets. They didn't have any way across. Let's go this way. She held his hand and started walking towards a stream of monsters the crowd was running from. What? No! We have to. We need to get away from that man. He'll kill us. The monsters will kill us quicker. Adrene looked surprised for a moment as if she just realized something. Then she spoke in a quiet and trembling voice. I'm going back. Are you crazy? You're going back? Towards the monsters and that madman? She steeled herself. Jared narrowed his eyes. No. I want to go back. To my own species. What? She was so obviously lying. Goodbye, Jared. Adrene, listen! Suddenly there was a huge explosion. Boom! So the two Guardians obviously did that without our knowledge. It was like nothing Jared had ever seen before. A giant column of light rose up into the sky, causing storms of dust and debris to kick up around it. Obviously. Part of Memora burned up in a blaze of light. While Gerald was staring up at it, Eislyn slipped away. This could be the deciding factor between one ending or another ending. Of course we're going to go after her. Of course. Inside here. Plans. Goals. Something anyways. Goal. It seems the guardians of the city are far more destructive than I anticipated. We'll have to speed things up. I'll send some of our kin to pick up Eislyn and take her someplace safe. They can take out their friend of hers while they're there. As for me, I'm going to have some fun. Why don't you do so as well? You look like you need to relax. Heh. Rejoice, my kin, for our father shall soon have his revenge. And how did his underlings manage to survive that apocalypse? For some odd reason, I thought Eislyn was Eislyn because she appeared at the title of the page. But she's just like one of these characters that have a significant impact on the story. Eislyn, a saying of blondness. Whoa. Eislyn wandered through a teeming mass of monsters that appeared to have ignored her. Even though they were in a panic, running like a flood through the streets, they paused to let her pass through. When that man attacked them, when Gerald looked at her after she spoke with that monster, it was like she was an alien being. She couldn't blame them. It had always been that way. In fact, she thought, Gerald had been right to think of me that way. When my own life was on the line, I didn't even think about him, or the repercussions he'd face if I took him into the stream of monsters. Once again, I put myself above everyone else. I really am one of them. There was a light at the end of the shadowy world she had walked into. She walked through it, wondering where she'd end up. Back at the orphanage. Heh, I may as well tell them to leave the city. They might not know about the monsters yet, but when she entered, the orphanage was silent and dark. Did you guys evacuate already? That was for the best, she thought. She wandered around the familiar place, now a bare and lifeless husk. Maybe this isn't so bad, she thought. I'll just stay here until the end. She wondered what the city would look like tomorrow. Oh my, the next room she entered contained a gathering of monsters. The sight of them struck Eislyn to her core. She recognized them. All of them. Even with their twisted deformities and expressions of honor and awe had fixed upon them. I wouldn't say honor would be something that would be a thing for monsters, but oh well. They were the orphans she had spent most of her life with. They crowded around her in a semicircle. I'm sorry, everyone. I didn't mean for you all to turn out like this. Her eyes began to spill over with tears. But this is how it was meant to be. They coerced. It was so surreal. The people she had known as individuals, each one different and full of life, now chanting as if they were one entity. Still, like a hive mind sort of thing. They're all part of the same system. Part of the same thing that is going on. Going around. Now we are the same. We are like you. You, great one, who can wear the guise of a human girl. Once again, the guilt she felt was not telling anyone what was going on. Who she was welled up within her. At least, they weren't dead, right? Or maybe this was worse. She sat down and hugged her knees. Aww. Then she heard footsteps running down the hall. Eislyn! Huh? Eislyn... What the... Gerald recoiled when he saw the creatures that the orphans had become. Then he looked sad, shook his head, and regained his composure. Why did you come here? To get you. Come on, let's leave the city. What? I may not be able to save Memora. I don't even understand what's happening. For crying out loud, but I can still help you. Come with me. He still wants to help her. Her heart warmed up at that. But she shook her head. Like I said, they need me for their plan. They won't let me leave. It's okay. Thank you so much for thinking about me. But please go. But why do you want to be a hero so badly? Adrien noted, then the silence of her kin. They were moving across the room very slowly. You can hardly tell they were moving at all. Something shone near the wall. It looked like a metal cable, vibrating ever so softly. Jared, run! Oh, them again. Adrien stood up as the mutated orphans all grabbed at him at once, pulling him to the ground as he yelled. She tried to cross the room over to him quickly, but some of the monsters made a barrier. They pitied her constantly. There, it'll be over soon. Jared! She tried to push against them, push past them, but it was useless. Even though she was strong herself, there were too many of them. She collapsed onto the ground and started to sob. It's happening again, she thought. Someone else is going to die and there's nothing I can do. Light flashed, suddenly and piercing. Adrien shut her eyes. Then there was a hand on her shoulder. It's going to be alright, Adrien. Who are you? Adrien opened her eyes. A girl was offering her a hand. She took it. Are you Eislyn? Yeah, Eislyn. Hey, Dad. What do you mean, Dad? You saying that Eislyn is Jared's daughter? What are you doing here? Where's your mother? And how did you... The room, which had been full of monsters, was burning with a pale fire that seemed ethereal. It didn't seem to actually burn anything up, but the monsters were thrashing around on the ground. Their flesh blackened and then crumbled away to reveal children. Children who were blinking and looking around groggily, like they'd just awoken from a dream. With this, she held up the same strange contraption the crazy man from earlier had been holding. It's called a light bearer. I'm glad I got here in time. Too much longer and they would have been stuck as monsters forever, I imagine. Ready to go, Adrien? Gerald was dumbfounded. Why was his daughter here? How did she know Adrien? How on earth did she manage to learn about the existence of a weapon called Lightbearer, let alone learn how to use it? Dad? Yeah? We need to go underground. Can I have your attention, everyone? Please follow me out of the building, she said, calmly taking command of everyone there. Adrien looked confused but relieved, and Gerald walked beside his daughter. Mother is safe, don't worry. Where is she and why are you here? It's a long story. As for Mother, no one can actually leave Memora. No, I mean, the monsters have made a perimeter around the city and they kill anyone who comes close. But she's under the protection of the Guardians. They'll keep her safe, and we should be able to break through the perimeter soon. In any case, perhaps it's already done. What do you mean we? And what Guardians? Eislyn took a moment to tell the children to keep up before answering. The Guardians of Memora, I'm not one of them myself, but you could say we work together. Someone attacked us earlier. He had one of those light bearers. Eislyn sighed, then, in a resigned sort of fashion, Warren. He is indeed one of the Guardians of Memora. The Guardians are my friends, but a good deal of them no longer align with my views, or Eislyn's. So, you're not the Eislyn of your age, as it could be considered. Way back in the past, but the one that did defeat Nortmore. Which is why we have to be careful. Sorry, what? Is there another Eislyn? The slumbering Eislyn? Memora's Eislyn? She who dreams? The one you named me after? Ah, that's the one. She's real? Yes. The fairy tale and reality are different, of course. Here we are. That garden. Eislyn stood in front of a statue in the shape of a hand. Then she held up her light bearer up to it. A faint pulse of light flowed out of it, and a door opened up in the statue. Everyone get inside quickly! Jard helped usher the children and Adarine inside, and then he began to descend the steps as Eislyn sealed the door back up again. They all went deep underground and found an entire system of corridors and rooms beneath the city. The kids, fully recovered now, exclaimed in awe and started investigating things. Hey guys, I need you all to follow the corridor on the left. They started down the path, including Adarine, but Eislyn held her back. I actually need you to stay with me. Okay. That's right, guys. Go all the way to the end. There will be someone who can help you. They walked away and around a bend until they could no longer be seen. Nice. Will they be okay on their own? Should be, but the Guardians will find them in any case. Okay then. Eislyn turned towards Jared. Sorry, I'll have to explain the rest later. If anyone comes, hide. She looked up and down the corridors and turned back to face him. I wish I could give you this. She held up the light bearer. Unfortunately, only those blessed by Eislyn can use them, so just me and the Guardians. She paused for a moment and turned her head slightly, as if to hear something better. It was a motion Jard was familiar with, having seen her do it many times in his life. However, in the moment it reminded him of when Adarine would listen to voices he could not hear. Never mind, you can use it. She pressed it into his hand. It won't work on people, but it's a decent defense against monsters. How does it work? How do you activate it? Just imagine what you would want it to become. She smiled and left without another word. She held Adarine's hand and took her deeper underground. Okie dokie. Adarine meeting Eislyn. Where are we going? To meet Eislyn. Eislyn walked quickly with Adarine in tow. Adarine thought Eislyn wanted to run, but was trying to slow down for her sake. Adarine stared at Eislyn. She never expected anyone to come save her. For a little while with Jared, it had felt like there might be hope, but even he couldn't do anything about the monsters. And then came this girl, who saved her and the orphans. Of all people, they had only met once, about a year ago. Adarine didn't even know her name back then, but she could never forget her. She just appeared at the orphanage one day. Apparently she knew one of the kids who had just suddenly gotten adopted out. Of course Adarine knew what that meant now, but back then it seemed a bit bizarre for her to turn up only after he had left. Adarine tried to say hello to her, like she did with everyone, except this girl didn't recoil from her. She wasn't weirded out by the things Adarine said. And when Adarine mentioned that she didn't get shocked by things the same way the others at the orphanage did, the girls replied that she was the same way. In the middle of another dreary day at the orphanage, she was a ray of sunshine. Adarine felt sad when she left. She never thought she would see her again. And now they were running through a connection of underground tunnels Adarine never knew existed, to meet someone she had always believed was a fairy tale. Thank you, by the way, for saving us. No problem, thank you for keeping my dad out of trouble. Not sure that I did. Eislyn slowed down to a stop and Adarine looked ahead curiously. There was nothing but a wall ahead of them. Eislyn put her hand against the wall and spirals of light glowed outward from there. The wall opened up into a small room. They both silently walked in. The wall closed back up and the room started to move. Whoa. It's a bit unsettling, isn't it? Don't worry, we're safe. Surprising, perhaps, but it's one of the least unsettling things that has happened today. Eislyn looked sympathetic and squeezed Adarine's hand. Whoa. When the room opened once again, it opened up a spectacular sight. Is that Eislyn like the one in the ages of yore? There was a cavern down here that Adarine guessed must have been the size of Memora itself. It was bright, glowing from below, and being there made Adrien feel the same as when she was hit by that orb of light earlier. When she looked down, she could see a giant figure resting peacefully at the bottom. This is Eislyn. Adrien stared at her in awe. She had never seen anything that big before. Can she hear me? Yes, but she's sleeping deeply right now, so I doubt she'll say anything back. Oh, when will she wake up? She always sleeps. This city, Memora, is her dream. In sleep she keeps it alive, keeps it and all of the earth safe from NaNoRenO. Sometimes she sleeps more deeply than others, though. Over the course of the past few months, she's been falling into a deeper and deeper slumber. She's been getting weaker. Taking care of Memora requires more and more effort for her lately. Who is NaNoRenO? He's one who wants to destroy Memora, the one creating the monsters. Oh. That's the name of the one Insidia calls Father. Adrien thought, my father too. Do you feel any different being here? What do you mean? Do you feel like you have less of a connection to NaNoRenO? Not really. It feels the same way as being blasted with light earlier did. I feel a little off, I guess, but it's still here. It's still there, sorry. Oh, I didn't know that happened. I'm sorry. I was rather hoping being near Eislyn's light would help release NaNoRenO's hold on you. It would have made things easier, but it just wasn't meant to be. Adrien looked down. I'm sorry. For what? Your connection to NaNoRenO? Don't be sorry. It's not like you asked for it, and has kept you alive, hasn't it? It doesn't make you intracentrally evil, really. Eislyn herself has a connection to him. She does? Yes, because I am so deeply connected to her, I guess you could say I do too. Uncle Big Bad Shadow, I'm so sorry. Adrien laughed for what felt like the first time in forever, and Eislyn laughed with her. Then the cavern started to shake, and Adrien felt a familiar feeling. Monsters! Here? They both looked up. Liquid was seeping through the cavern ceiling and onto the slumbering Eislyn. It immediately burned up upon hitting her. That's not good. We need to go check on my dad. Right. They ran from the room. Adrien, unpleasant reunion with Insidia, I suspect. Jared, alone now with his thoughts, pondered the events that had led up to all this and what the future might possibly hold. It was hard to believe that 2 days ago the biggest thing in his life was tracking down the silent killer. Now his family was at risk, his daughter was some kind of light-wielding superhuman, and the whole city was in danger. Not to mention the girl who saved his life and might be the one who inevitably destroys everything. And then what felt like an earthquake hit. Jared immediately took cover. The tremors continued, but other than that, nothing. Jared wondered if he should go and check on the girls. I sense her nearby. I hope she isn't in that place, or we won't be able to get her. I told you letting her run free was a bad idea. And for the last time, it really doesn't matter where she is or who she's with. Well, hello. Jared, knowing he was going to be discovered either way, decided to confront them. He held the light bearer up in front of him and prayed he would be able to use it. Well, well, well. Seems we have a rogue guardian here. Forgot your uniform? That's the one, the human I was telling you about. Really? So not even a guardian at all? The female monster cackled. Oh, you poor simple human. That isn't going to work out well for you in more ways than one. Jared gritted his teeth and tried to imagine a pulse of light like Eislyn created. Whoa, he actually can use it. Jeez. Jared stared at them. He had managed to get light out of a weapon, but it was nothing like Eislyn's attack. because you got to really hone in and focus. You got to put your mind into everything in the attack. Imagine if the attack itself is your life itself. The monster that chased him before seemed agitated but unhurt, and the female one didn't seem fazed in the slightest. Good job! Alas, I had grown too powerful for such a weak display to be effective. Goodbye. You've annoyed dear Gall enough. Oh dear. The monster whipped parts of her body that looked like steel cables through the air and knocked him to the ground before he could even blink. The light bearer was flung to his hands and clattered further away. Do you want your meal now, Gall? I think I do, inside here. I think I do. Gall opened his jaws wide. Stop. Oh, hello, dear. Leave him alone. Surprisingly, Gall actually stopped to watch them. Do you really care about these humans more than us, dear? Can you feel it inside? Father's love flowing through all of us, connecting us. He's a friend of mine. You can get a meal elsewhere. But humans are so fickle. Don't you know you'll never truly belong with them? I know you know this to be true. Humans have always despised you, but I never have. None of us have ever. We've only ever loved you. And no matter what you do, my dear, I could never hate you. Eislyn grabbed hold of the light bearer. Insidia, finally noticing her, laughed. And what do you think you'll be able to do with that? When Eislyn activated it, the whole room was bathed in pale fire. Both Insidia and Gall screamed in agony. Gerald couldn't see them run away, but he heard their voices grow more and more distant. When the fire faded, the three of them were left in a shocked silence. Gerald got to his feet first. You really are superhuman. I could barely eke anything out of that thing. And then you go and nearly blind everyone. If I blinded them, I consider them a job well done. That really was incredible. Glad to be of service. Let's get out of here. Wait, they mentioned that if Alderine was in a certain place they couldn't get to her. Wouldn't she be safer there? And what about your mother? I had Alderine figure out where the monsters were getting in from the way over here. That shelter should be safe. Mother's safest place with the Guardians, unlike us. As for Alderine, unfortunately this is the Guardian's base, and if someone finds us here, it's a 50-50 chance they'll attack her. Granted, I'm the only one who can open that room, but if they discover that we're here, which they will since the orphans are headed to the shelter, we might get stuck in there. And the slumbering Eislyn is in trouble. If I don't do something about that liquid, then Nortmere will be able to overpower her and invade Memora. And that, folks, is definitely not good. I know I'm dragging you into danger, but I'll do my best to protect you. Eislyn addressed this last part to Alderine. It's not really dangerous for me. Thank you for trying to help, and I'll do my best to do the same. Eislyn smiled. Dad, you should go to the shelter. Not happening. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm going to grab an extra light bearer, then let's get out of here. Thank you. Jared, the scene is called Run, for goodness sakes. When they returned to the streets of Memora, Eislyn took off running. The other two kept up with her. So what about these monsters and why are they attacking us anyway? Yeah, to make a long story short, they're the children of a celestial being known as Nortmere, and he's got a grudge against the slumbering Eislyn who lives beneath us. And since she loves us humans, he hates us. Great. Wait, are you trying to say that all men are monsters? Anyway, suffice it to say that if the slumbering Eislyn dies, we die with her. So how do we save her? Like I said, we've got to stop the liquid from seeping into her cavern. I think it was coming from this way. Eislyn said as she turned onto the street. They all stopped for a moment though, to see a war raging between the Guardians and monsters. If it weren't for them, we would have been overrun with monsters right now. They do mean well, honestly. I wish you could have met them under different circumstances. Anyway, we need to get going. Liquid. Is something wrong? I think I might have seen that stuff before. In Insidia's house. Insidia? That monster from earlier? She's like a leader. Can you show us where it is? Yeah! Adrien ran ahead of him and Jard and Eislyn followed. So how do you know Adrien anyway? We met at the orphanage. Just after I found that kid had been murdered. Yikes. Oh, of course. Adrien's a good girl. When she was at the orphanage, the other kids were mean to her, but she was kind to them anyway. Honestly, I felt bad that I never went back to see her, or check up on the other kids. Maybe if I had, I could have figured out what was going on before things got so dire. Don't blame yourself. Thank you, by the way. For what? Trying to catch the killer? You knew how much it meant to me, didn't you? Of course. I hated what was going on too. Eislyn smiled and she ran, then looked sad. Woman thinks we have to destroy Nightmare with force. But we, the slumbering Eislyn and I, believe our best chance is to foster hope within Adrien. Adrien is incredibly powerful. She has a deep connection to Nightmare, similar to the one I have with the slumbering Eislyn. Jard was silent for a moment, looking into the distance. I cannot believe I never knew about this. Sorry for keeping it from you. Honestly, I never expected it to matter this much. It just seemed like such an odd thing to explain to people. Eislyn laughed a little and Jard smiled. I always knew you were incredible. Yeah, that's what happens when you have incredible parents. Ah, wonderful. Parents. Unlike Eislyn, Adrien had been fighting all on her own. Jard ran up to her and kept pace with her. Is something wrong? I didn't get a chance to answer you before. You asked me why I wanted to become a hero so badly. I want people to be safe. I don't want to see people suffer. He turned to look at her. Just like you. I'm not a hero. I'm a coward. I didn't even think about the danger I was putting you in before. I wanted to get away from that man so badly. I was only concerned with my own life. It's natural not to want to die. But all this time you've been helping me. You may not have considered it a risk. But you didn't have to do it either. The guilt you feel, what happened wasn't your fault. But the fact that you feel sorry for the people who had been hurt by those monsters proves that you have empathy. You are not like them. You never were. And you never will be. And I, for one, am glad I met you. I wouldn't be alive without you. Adrien gasped, and then she smiled. Ah. Danger. We're almost there. Adrien slid to a halt when a familiar guardian stepped into the path in front of her. Warren. Jard and Eislyn came and stood in front of Adrien. Warren looked disappointed. Of course you choose him. He's your father. Warren, I have always followed Eislyn's wishes. My very being is tied to her. How easily that bond was broken. It isn't. Eislyn held up the light bearer and released a massive pulse of light. It was so bright even Warren took a step back. Things aren't always as they appear. Eislyn and I both believe the path ahead is with Adrien. She's willing to help us. I don't want to hurt anyone. I never have. Then Eislyn herself has gone mad. Throwing yourself on the mercy of a child allied with Nightmare. Forget this. I will save you both even if you do not wish it. Oh great. Warren then drew a gun and pointed it straight at Adrien. She gasped and jumped behind cover. Just as it went off, both Eislyn and Jard moved to stop Warren. As if sensing the danger to their prior sister, monsters started to stream into the area. Warren was still single-mindedly shooting at Adrien. In the meantime, Eislyn was trying to fight off a horde of monsters. Warren seemed to be swallowed up inside of a horde. Adrian hesitated. She didn't know what to do. And then she saw that Eislyn was cornered. She rushed forward to try and help her, but she was too far away. But there was no way she'd make it in time. Then John appeared and pushed Eislyn out of the fray, using his light bearer to clear a path. Thank goodness she's safe. Adrian thought she tried to take a step towards her, but then Adrian felt dizzy and fell to the ground. No! Warren, why are you so single-minded? Last dream. So single-minded. Thanks, Dad. That was a close one. Where's Adrian? Eislyn and Jard both looked around and soon discovered her passed out on the ground. Adrian! Eislyn rushed to her side. Oh no. There was a bullet wound that had gone straight through Adrian's heart. I'm sorry, Eislyn, but it had to end this way. Adrian, no. If it's a choice between a monster and Memora, I'll choose Memora every time. She wasn't a monster! I understand you're upset. Take your time. Eislyn's eyes were ringing. Adrian's life was seeping away in her arms. Warren didn't seem upset at all over taking the life of a human being. Warren. Why was he so cold now? That kind, passionate person she had always known. Had this side of him always existed? The monster had stopped attacking. They had cleared a circle around Eislyn and Adrian. Inside he appeared, passing through the shadow of monsters. I have defeated your weapon, creature of Nightmare. It's over. What? The world around them started to feel like it was caving in. Do you honestly think Nightmare would put all his life's work on the shoulders of one daughter? Of course he had a backup plan. He has many. It is such a shame, though. Father, actually none of us have the imagination Adrian did. Oh, what a splendid spectacle she would have made for Eislyn's end. Her loss is a true tragedy. Eislyn shed tears and she realized Adrian truly was dead. Enough! It is over, humans. But while Adrian, this game grows wearisome. The amount of monsters descending upon the street was overwhelming. Eislyn's light bearer was knocked from her grasp when they knocked her to the ground. This is it, Eislyn thought. Dozens of claws and teeth pierced her. Eislyn could feel that she was dying, and she could feel the slumbering Eislyn's sorrow. It made Eislyn smile. She was so lucky, she knew. Even in death she was never alone. Thank you, she thought, and faded into her namesake light. Soon Nightmare claimed her life as well, and the world burned. The end. Second of 4. Cool. Well, not cool, but I feel like that the end would come sooner if you chose the other paths. So, in the instance of, let's say, if we decided not to follow her, then the end would come sooner because the characters wouldn't have Jared's protection in the first place. But then for our other courses, I believe that letting him go, or try and stop him, would also lead to a bad run. Because in both routes, like, there's only one other option. Like, this one here is the split between which route you go towards. Do you get more known with the Guardians by finding the police, or do you learn about Adrian in the first place and therefore select keep running? So that's what we're going to look at in the next time, folks. The other options in both routes, and hopefully we'll be able to find the secret ending which lies in the game, because the Etchia page says 5 endings when the game only says 4. So would there be a hidden ending within the choices that you make, or do you have to achieve all 4 endings first in order to get to the 5th ending, which I would think is the only good ending of the game, which allows the citizens of this city to defeat the greater evil. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all in the next and possibly final time of Eislyn's Apocalypse. Have a good day and take care of yourselves.